Welcome to the Salem Maritime National Historic Site. My name is Andrea Aeschlim and I'm a TRT this summer in 2014, and I'm going to introduce this park to you over the next few slides. This is me, and this is my site, the Salem Maritime National Historic Site. I have my volunteer baseball cap, so welcome. The places of interest in our park, there are plenty. This is an urban park. Well, we're going to start with the Friendship, and you can see the Friendship right here. This is a rebuilt model of the original Friendship. This long piece here is Derby Wharf, and at the end there's Derby Light. Right here is the Custom House, number 3. Then we have Derby House and Derby Garden, the Narbonne House, the West India Goods Store, and then way up on Essex Street that you can't see on this map is the Salem Armory and Visitor Center, and I will describe all of them in the next few slides. On March 17, 1938, the Salem Maritime National Historic Site was the first National Historic Site established by the National Park Service under the National Historic Sites Act of 1935. Its purpose was to promote the maritime history of New England and the United States and preserve part of the historic waterfront in Salem, Massachusetts. Yes, the home of the witches. Salem, for about 4 years, was actually one of the largest trading ports in the world. So this park really tells the story of how colonial port towns were really important in international trade and the early economy of the United States. So we try to connect the maritime trade and growing industrialization in the United States. Every park has its interpretive themes. The Salem Maritime National Historic Site has 4, and as a middle school science teacher, I'm actually working under the 3rd theme relating to science and technology and education and how that relates to our amazing, beautiful historic site. This is the Friendship, really the keystone of our beautiful park. It is a replica ship of the original Salem East Indiaman Friendship, which was launched in 1797, and she made 15 voyages during her career, all around the West Indies, India, China, South America, and the Caribbean, England, Germany, Mediterranean, and Russia. She was built for the Salem mercantile firm Waite and Pierce in the South River Shipyard in Enos Briggs, and she ended her activities as an American merchant vessel when she was captured as a prize of war by the British sloop of war, the HMS Rosamond, in September 1812. She was captured during the War of 1812. The National Park Service recreated the Friendship, and right now she is being fixed up and getting re-rigged for the next couple of years. So the Friendship is a beautiful part of our park. Derby Wharf is one of the most prominent parts of our park. It's a half-mile wharf that goes out into Salem Harbor and is finished at the end by Derby Light Station. Derby Wharf was created in 1762 and finished in 1806, and this is where the Friendship is actually docked. The light station was created in 1871 and then refurbished in the 1980s. So if you want to read more about the wharf and the lighthouse, you can read it on Pickled Fish and Salted Provisions, which is our historical newsletter, and there's a link on this page to that. This is our Custom House. This is where trade and taxes and the merchant offices were all held in Salem. This custom house is the last of the 13 custom houses in the city of Salem, and it was built in 1819. Attached to the custom house are also the public stores and the scales houses, which are behind. It is a beautiful building with plenty of historic books and other things inside, but on the top you can see a large gold eagle, and that's actually a replica, but the one at the bottom here is actually the original, and it was refurbished. It's made out of wood, but it has been fixed up and is now housed inside of the Custom House. The black and white photo is a picture taken in the early 1900s of the Custom House, and actually the waterfront used to come right up almost to the front of the stairwell there. So the Custom House is really the center of this park. This is the Derby House. The Derby House was built in 1762 as a wedding present from Elias Haskett to Elizabeth Derby for the first 20 years of their marriage. And the Derbys raised 7 children in this home. Behind the home is a garden that's actually being redone in the style of Elizabeth Derby. So this garden actually is being redone with the herbs and medicinals that would have been there in the 1700s. It is a beautiful example of Georgian-style architecture and of American-style gardening. These are 2 more buildings on the property of the Salem Maritime National Historic Site. The Narbonne House was built in 1675 for the butcher Thomas Ives, and it is a remarkable example of a middle-class family home of the 17th and 18th centuries. It has been through many iterations and many families, and there have been archaeological digs on the site of the Narbonne House, and many examples of the families that have lived there have been unearthed and are now on display in the Narbonne House. The West India Goods Store was used in Salem as a generic term for a retail shop selling items from all over the world, not just the Caribbean. And the West India Goods Store is now being used for offices, but used to be a store where we actually sold spices and other things that could have been bought around that same time during the trading of the 1700s and 1800s. A little bit off the beaten path, and more in the center of Salem's downtown, is the Salem Visitor Center, located on New Liberty Street in downtown Salem. It was originally the Salem Armory. It was the headquarters and training facility for the 2nd Corps of Cadets, which was traced its history back to the late 18th century. In 1982, the beautiful 1880s Gothic revival building was nearly destroyed by fire, and the remaining drill shed was converted into the Visitor Center in 1994. The area between the drill shed and the corner of New Liberty and Essex Street was turned into Armory Park, a park honoring the veterans of Essex County. As you can see in the 2 smaller pictures, there are many displays and plenty of rangers actually work in this office, introducing Salem to visitors and locals alike. There's also a store where you can buy books on the nature of the area and also on the history. It is a very, very nice place. We even have a park cartoonist, Ranger John Clark, who creates bi-monthly cartoons about the history and current work being done at the park. I very much recommend that you go to this link below to see many of the park's cartoons. Thank you very much for listening, and I would just like to say welcome to the Salem Maritime National Park. The end.